President Trump has created an Office of the Former President, staffed with former White House aides to advance the interests of the United States and to carry on the agenda of his administration. He is handing out political endorsements. He has backed Kelly Ward for a second term as chairwoman of the Arizona Republican Party, she won, and former White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders for governor of Arkansas in 2022. Still cut off from social media, President Trump released the statement endorsing Mrs. Sanders through his new political action committee, Save America. A top Trump official, former Office of Management and Budget Director Russell Vought, announced Tuesday the formation of two more organizations to keep driving the momentum of the Trump agenda. According to The Federalist, he wrote, "A restoration is coming. Join us." Just as he did in office, President Trump is delivering unsubtle warnings to Republican senators that he will ruin them politically if they vote for his conviction next month. The former president is monitoring closely which Republicans are still with him, as Senator Kevin Cramer of North Dakota can attest. Mr. Cramer was at home Saturday when he received what he termed a strategic phone call from Brian Jack, who was a White House political director under President Trump. Mr. Jack told the senator that he had just spoken with Mr. Trump. According to the senator, Mr. Jack said, "The president wanted me to just express again his gratitude for your support over the years." The Trump aide never mentioned the upcoming impeachment trial. Instead, he said President Trump wanted to tamp down rumors that he was planning to form a breakaway third party to challenge Republicans who oppose him. Mr. Cramer told reporters Tuesday, "The main reason for the call was to make sure I knew from him that he's not starting a third party, and if I'd be helpful in squashing any rumors that he was starting a third party, and that his political activism or whatever role he would play going forward would be with the Republican Party, not as a third party. Now, of course, that means different things to different people, I suppose." The senator, who has criticized Mr. Trump's role in the January 6 riot at the Capitol that sparked his impeachment by the House, said he was grateful for the phone call and found it comforting. He said, "I was happy to spread the message. For sure, I've gotten plenty of blowback back home for not being sufficiently loyal to Donald Trump, and it does seem a bit crazy. The consequences for opposing President Trump are as real as ever." House Republican Conference Chairwoman Liz Cheney of Wyoming faces intensifying calls for her removal from party leadership, including a visit to her state Thursday by a Trump loyalist, Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida. In Arizona, at the direction of President Trump's endorsed party leader, the state Republican Party on Saturday censured Trump opponents Governor Doug Ducey, former Senator Jeff Flake and Cindy McCain, all Republicans. Trump ally Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina said most Republicans eventually will reunite around President Trump's policies. Mr. Graham said, "I want to make sure that the Republican Party can grow and come back, and we're going to need Trump and Trump needs us. I think the best thing for us is to keep the Trump policy movement alive." Democrats are on high alert over President Trump's influence. The House Democrats' campaign arm on Tuesday sent a fundraising email, under the name of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, warning of the threat posed by the former president. Mrs. Pelosi stated, "Donald Trump's team just announced he's sitting on a $70 million war chest, and he plans to use every cent to elect pro-Trump Republicans up and down the ballot. I refuse to let this one-term president undermine our Democrats just days into the Biden-Harris administration." Although President Trump hasn't decided whether to run for office again, advisors say he is planning to lead an effort pushing state legislatures to reform election rules to limit mail-in balloting. President Trump has argued that expanded vote-by-mail options in key states during the pandemic led to fraud that cost him the election. Former senior Trump administration official said Tuesday, "He understands that we have to get away from unsolicited vote-by-mail efforts and back to historical norms of in-person voting." President Trump had the support of 87% of Republicans in an NBC News poll released January 17, virtually the same level as before the November election. In another sign of the fervor for President Trump, the Oregon Republican Party approved a resolution January 19 condemning the 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach him. The Oregon Party even called the Capitol riot a false flag operation seeking to discredit Republicans. In a statement, the state party said the situation drew a frightening parallel to the February 1933 burning of the German Reichstag. The state party said, "The record shows that President Trump in no way incited the violence, which actually started 20 minutes before the president finished his remarks far from the Capitol building itself." Republican senators are increasingly voicing opposition to the impeachment trial, another sign of President Trump's strength across the country. Senator Roger Marshall of Kansas was one of only 3 Republicans on the Senate floor Monday night when the Democratic House impeachment managers delivered the article of impeachment to start the trial process. Mr. Marshall told reporters, "It was much more emotional than I thought it would be. As I sat there and listened to the articles of impeachment being read, it just struck me that the hatred that some people have towards President Trump, and how emotional it was for them, that they were down to this emotional level, and not doing what I think is responsible, which is to say, look, the president has already left office and this is unconstitutional what they're doing." Republican senators are voicing increasing opposition to a trial, another sign of President Trump's strength across the country. In a test vote Tuesday, 45 Republican senators signaled that trying a former president is unconstitutional. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky said that means the impeachment trial is dead on arrival. Former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said the vote showed the Democrats' ridiculous impeachment of former President Trump will fail, again, by a long shot. He praised the 45 Republican senators for standing up against it. Mr. Graham, who spoke with President Trump on Monday night, said the former president is decompressing at his resort home in Florida. Mr. Graham said, "He's got a legal team he's trying to organize, and he just needs to keep doing what he's doing and the trial will be over in a couple of weeks." In his essay, Mr. Vaught announced the formation of 2 pro-Trump organizations that will help to frame the ideology of the Republican Party in terms friendly to President Trump's political movement. The Center for American Restoration and an advocacy arm, America Restoration Action, will aim to keep issues of President Trump's America First agenda in the public spotlight. Writing for The Federalist, Mr. Vaught called President Trump's presidency the first real counter-assault to the left in decades, by a champion who had the stomach and the strength to sustain the withering fire of his adversaries. This explains the lengths to which the left went to destroy his presidency and his movement. Mr. Vaught wrote, "To those asking where we go from here, there must be one conclusion from the right: the counter-assault must be sustained. There is no going back. The call for unity must not become an excuse for surrender."